space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, are Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Dragon!
And we're here for week 2 of our Prodigy coverage, which is actually episodes 3 and 4. Which I noticed this week, Netflix have updated it, and we've actually got episode titles now.
I noticed that as well this morning while I was busy doing the thumbnail.
So well done, Netflix. It's not just episode 3 and 4. It's Who Saves the Saviors and Temporal Mechanics 101.
Can I also just check with you guys? Just like, obviously, we'll go. We're just covering the episodes we're on. We're not going to like spoil anything. But just in case I slip, have you guys seen all the rest?
I'm only up to number 6.
Sweet.
I'm up to 8.
I've decided how I'm doing it. Like, I've actually watched these, like, I think 3 times this week. So how I'm watching it, I'm actually getting loads and loads and loads of viewing in on all of them.
Which is good for the demographics, I'll be honest, I've just not had time we've had an election, we've got a football tournament,
I've bought a house.
Yeah, we've sold an house.
We've had a mental busy week.
Yeah, so I only just really started binging it yesterday, and it was one of them where I was like, right, I'll rewatch these 2 for doing the podcast, and I was like, I'll just watch the next couple. Oh, that ended on a cliffhanger. I'll watch the next one. Oh, another cliffhanger, right? And then I had to stop myself when it got to about midnight. I was like, no.
It's actually for next week's. I've got a really nice, interesting fact for next week.
Ooh. Well, we look forward to that next week. There's a hook for the audience. They'll be tuning in now.
I was kind of like staying up late watching it. I was just so hooked when I was watching it through. But yeah, to get to watch it back for this, it like means that at bare minimum, Retrek, each 3 of us will have watched it twice. So people
I'll watch them all at least 3 times.
Multiple watches.
Yeah, we're doing our bit. Definitely. Are you doing yours?
Yeah. And Jim, you mentioned the election there. So the first Retrek under a Labour government.
Yes, indeed, and that's why you can tell we're all so much happier.
It's why I can afford the lights on now. I can afford electricity again.
Can I just say a quick funny story? Because like my hair's gone blue, but because I had red hair dyeing before, it was meant to go green. So I was like, oh fucking hell! I'm the only person who's gone from red to blue in this country. Last week.
Very true. And Labour government got in on Friday. Elliot bought an house on Monday. That's how quickly they've turned round the prospects of getting on the housing ladder.
Government.
Absolutely not. Anyway, let's crack on with the episodes then. So first of all, Who Saves the Saviors? And it picks us up straight away after they've stolen the Infinity. And they're in a wormhole, but they actually call it a time hole, which I feel like is a reference to Red Dwarf, the episode backwards, where they've got Crichton's doing his orienteering. It's like, what's that? It's a time hole. It's not a time hole.
Because
you do.
It's taking them through time as opposed to through space. And, well, it's doing both.
Well, that's not the only Red Dwarf reference in this.
Oh.
It's cutting ahead, but Jenkins' hand. You remember it might be the same episode that you're talking. It's the one where...
Terraform.
Oh no, Terraform is it? It's Rim's.
Sorry, Terraform.
Crichton's stuck underneath the thing, so he unscrews his hand, makes a little version of himself with an eyeball.
Yeah.
And I thought Jenkins' hand looked a lot like that because I didn't
you're
even
right.
notice the other Red Dwarf kind of esque sort of thing. So maybe we've got some Red Dwarf fans on the writing crew. I wouldn't be surprised.
As there should be as well. There should be Red Dwarf fans in every walk of life.
You'd like to think that when you're working on a sci-fi show, you will enjoy sci-fi, and if you've got anything about you, you'd have quite a large spectrum of things that you like watching. It's like I really hate when you bump into these people who go, I watch Star Wars, but I like Star Wars, don't like Star Trek. Or I like Star Trek, I don't like Star Wars. And it's like, no, they're both really good in their own separate ways.
Yeah, it's people always want to be territorial about stuff like supporting football teams. It's like, it doesn't work like that with entertainment. You can watch as much of it as you want. It's great.
Yeah, if you're only watching like one show, and especially like for a long time, if you only watch Star Wars, you were very limited on what you could actually watch in a week.
Yeah, right. You had your three films,
you had three
and you could read some books.
There's 3 movies for the best part of 20 years. Then for the next 30 odd years, there was 6 movies.
Yeah. And yeah, there was some spin-off fiction, but they didn't really start in earnest until probably the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. Anyway,
it was always a bizarre one that got me that I watch Star Wars, but I'm not Star Trek. It's like, what? So you only watch 3 movies?
Yeah, ever. Yeah. So Dal wants to save Chakotay because he saved them, which, okay, I'll buy that works as motivation within the story for someone who doesn't know Chakotay. But trust me, if you knew him, you would not want to save him.
I was off to say, like Dal is still young and impressionable, so he's not learned everything. He's still only a trainee cadet, so he won't actually. He's probably not even read up on what a shithead Chakotay is.
Yeah, and don't forget, like, the reports of Chakotay will all be written by Janeway, and we know she's a bit sweet on him, so...
Well, I think she's mellowed towards him, but she had the opportunity to be sweet on him and chose a monkey.
This is true.
A monkey and also Lizard Paris, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's slightly different. Is the lizard one, but she was in a one-on-one situation with him, only 2 of them on the planet forever, and she chose to get with a monkey instead. I'm still
waiting for your monkey Janeway fan fiction. I'm still waiting for it.
Oh, it'll be out there, don't you worry. It'll be there if you want to find it. Meanwhile, we've got Hortensia back on, I always forget the name of the planet, but Gwyn's planet. And yeah, she basically is trying to muster the troops to get rid of Gwyn because she doesn't want Gwyn doing anything. But her dad actually sticks up for her in this instance, and we're seeing the nicer John Noble.
I was about to say, we're seeing the nice diviner, aren't we? Not diviner.
It was the diviner, but
I'm just so glad they don't seem to be going down the route of kind of him, but like, oh, but what was my other self like? Was he evil? Maybe I'm so glad they're still sticking with him being good. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, without the changes to the timeline, he just seems a nice guy.
Yeah, it's like obviously events on his planet during the Civil War is what made him what he was. It wasn't like that. He's a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, and I think it creates such a nice stark difference between him and the other person who traveled back with him, the woman Hortensia. I think it's nice because you get to see, like, right, there is a difference between someone who is just so embittered and just doesn't seem capable of change when they see stuff in front, whereas he, without going down that path. It possibly
also explains Gwen's nice side, that she's actually genetically from a nice bloke. So he isn't out and out evil from the start. He's like I say, he's a victim of circumstance. So Gwen has got that where, I'm genetically from a really nice bloke. Yeah, there was even some shades of it in the first series, even though he was out and out being, doing bad things. There were some moments where he was actually being really sweet, where he actually it showed that he did actually care for her.
Yeah, it was always clear that he cared for her, and it's nice to explore this other facet of the character, and it must be great for the John Noble as an actor to do it as well. Like, okay, he's still playing the same character, but he made different decisions, or he hasn't been faced with those decisions to make yet.
Well, to be fair, we've seen that from John Noble when he did Fringe.
Yes, to be fair, Fringe was good.
That's where I first discovered him myself. I've since seen him in earlier stuff, but yeah.
Fringe was an amazing series. If you haven't watched Fringe, go back and rewatch it after you finish watching us tonight.
It's one of the great. Is one that's strangely absent on most of the streaming services. Yeah. It's hard to find this Fringe, which is a bit annoying.
It's one of the few series where you've got the kind of like wise sage who's on acid candy sticks, like for the whole thing.
And I like the cow. What were the cow's name?
I can't remember.
I forget. Were it June or something? Or Jean? Anyway, doesn't matter. Answers on a postcard. What was the cow called in Fringe? But like
in that.
They did.
Yeah.
His last was it his last acting role? No, he said it was, but it was fibbing because he turned up in Star Trek Into Darkness. So there we go.
Oh yeah.
So, like all good Star Trek planets, we've got a ritualistic combat.
Yeah.
But this time it's called the Valura.
Now, don't you find this planet quite odd? Because we've got John Noble's character who's playing is an astronomer. Mm-hmm. So it's looking out at the stars and everything. And we can tell that they're actually quite advanced technologically. They've got very advanced robots, etc.
Yeah.
But they've never made any effort to leave the surface of the planet.
No, it's a fair point. Maybe it's one of them planets where it's quite distant, so you'd have to have invented warp drive, not just
but
light
no radio telescopes
or
or anything picking up signals and.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It did seem that when the Federation sort of came and that caused a schism amongst their people, that they were already kind of not really looking to sort of explore the stars. Really looking, and I think that kind of set a good. Like, it makes sense to what happened, that they weren't expecting to meet people. They weren't trying to meet people. So someone coming in, it's like it was very easy for the fears to get stoked up amongst some people.
Yeah, you can be technologically advanced, but still sort of isolationist, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, look, I can't think of any allegory within our planet, obviously, but, it's like sometimes I guess some people just want to hate people coming from the outside. I don't know. Can't think of anyone.
And so we get the start of the fight between Gwyn and Hortensia, which involves going down on this big sort of platform that goes down and down and down and down and down. And then they have to climb up using what they call is it the ancestor they call it? I forget what they call it.
It's
the thing
like
that me and Elliot were we were convinced it was a captured changeling in season 1, but that was one of our theories that didn't pan out.
The weapon. The heirloom.
Yeah, heirloom, that's it. But this leads to a shot where Gwyn's sort of hanging off it with both hands, and it's very much Obi-Wan Kenobi in The Phantom Menace, where Darth Maul's slashing at him with I think the framing of the shot, to me, was very deliberately evocative of that.
Well, perhaps we've actually got Star Trek fans who do like Star Wars.
Perhaps we have. So back in the future, then the main gang gets put in prison with Chakotay, and this is scuppering the plan a little bit because they were meant to stay away for 4 hours to let him launch the protostar, but instead they get put in jail with him. And this leads to Majel, which that's a great, let's name the Vulcan after Majel Barrett. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
But she does the classic, I'll tie something round my ears so they can't tell I'm a Vulcan.
Star Trek go back.
But it's like all of it, they're so clumsy with the things they're saying and trying to hide it. And as crap as Chakotay is, he must realise there's something dodgy about them.
You'd think so, because Dal's just like, Starfleet, what's that? Federation, what's that?
Never heard of that.
I do really enjoy.
Was that it? Was it tricorder? You say?
Yeah, he over-eggs the pudding a little bit, doesn't he? But I really enjoy Jankum in these scenes with all his bird puns for Chakotay's officer that's a bird. I can't remember what all of them were, but it's the more you rewatch that scene, the more you notice that he's dropping them in constantly.
And he keeps going to himself, don't do it. And he can't help himself because of the nature of him.
It's so
but
nice.
Then at one point,
just trying everything to be more civil and more polite, and kind of he's got his hair slicked back and everything, and just he can't help but walk into. And the one I want to bring up though, the last one, I can't remember what it was, but Chakotay goes, "Well, you're gonna admit that one was quite good." It's like no better than the rest, really. I mean, I wanted a special one if he's going to say that.
I think clearly Chakotay is a bird racist and has always had a problem with his first officer being a bird, and has just been waiting for someone else to do it so that he can go, that one was pretty good.
In all fairness, you two have always found him quite foul. So, you know.
Indeed, you see, there you go. Chakotay be like, that was a good one, Dr. Squee. Well done.
And I'm like, no, it wasn't. No one laughed.
And then this leads us into, is it a predestination paradox? Because was it them being there that meant that they could try and escape? Yeah, so on one level, it's like, yeah, you might be right. On the other level, you could just be justifying yourselves getting involved when you shouldn't be doing. So it's a bit of a gamble.
I just love it. I just love the fact that they're bringing in already this far in. We've already got a couple of kind of theories of time travel which come up, and now predestination paradox.
Yeah,
this is just so much fun. Like,
and
I won't tell you what happens, but they do discuss other ones. I think within the first 6 anyway.
Cool.
But like, I won't say any of the details anyway. But it's like, I love how much like if you really like what I think Star Trek, Doctor Who, all these shows are really clever at doing is like backdoor teaching you science stuff, just like
definitely.
It's like I learned linear. The word linear, I literally learned from Deep Space Nine linear time.
Well, yeah, and like I remember
Doctor Who, and you know, this has got all these kind of real theories of time travel, and it's just great.
Yeah, like I remember meeting people as an adult who didn't know what multiverses were until the Marvel films, and it's like, how can you not? Have you not seen Star Trek? Have you not seen Red Dwarf? Like, I just couldn't wrap my head around. Like, I just assumed that's normal knowledge that everyone has.
The problem is that we assume everyone's as cool as us.
That's the problem, yeah.
What it just made me so happy when I first started watching these programs about like real theories of time travel. Neil deGrasse Tyson and I think it's Michiko something. It's a Asian astrophysicist. They both talk a lot about. I can never remember his name, but they talk a lot about theories of time travel and stuff. And it's like I was like, oh, that I've heard that one. I'd heard of most of them from sci-fi, apart from the ones which were too boring to work in sci-fi because they involve stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Just wouldn't be practical for a sci-fi show. It's great though.
And we get like the reference as well. Like, well, it won't be the first time. There was the Bell riots, and there was the first warp flight, which is really nice that they throw them out there.
They are referencing things that have happened.
Although,
have happened in Star Trek anyway.
Well, that's the thing. I thought they were meant to kind of keep those things top secret, but it turns out they all go in the file because it's not the first time someone brought up First Contact. I think it was 7 of 9, but
that's been brought up a couple of times.
And to be fair, neither of those were predestination paradoxes. They were things that they had to fix when something went wrong.
I think the way she words it was kind of clever because it was like it's not the first time that Starfleet's been involved in. I think the devil was in detail the way how she worded it because I thought the same thing. But
the predestination paradox is probably the City on the Edge of Forever, where Edith wouldn't have crossed the road to get killed if Kirk wasn't there.
No, that's a good point. Yeah,
so that's probably a predestination paradox.
Yes, yeah, it probably is. And then. Yeah, this is where Jankum uses his hand, as we talked about, to get him out of the force field.
You've got the bird officer going to him. You can't do anything with the tricorder, and he's going, Jankum can. Jankum can do it.
Begs to differ.
Yeah.
I love it when Jankum gets like really happy about something. He's just, they're all just such great characters, but it's so joyful.
It is, yeah. And then during the escape, Chakotay actually sees the tricorder and he's like, wait a minute, why have you got a tricorder? And they're like, hey, it's fine, you go that way.
What, you mean he finally twigged that there might actually be Starfleet or something when they're going, Starfleet, what's that? Never heard of it.
Although again,
yeah, he kind of works it out finally.
I still find it really jarring, like some of the kind of when they've got humans on screen talking, when you've got all the aliens, which they seem to just move more naturally. Like when Chakotay's talking, it's very square. It seems men.
I think it's it's stylized, isn't it? And the alien designs fit that style much better than the human ones do.
The aliens look really smooth and flowing, but humans look very chunky and squared on it.
It's the articulation when they're speaking as well. Like Chakotay's doesn't move enough. Like if they do get a third series, and I know we're all hoping,
I'll tell you what.
I hope they do. Like that would be one thing I'd say to work on. But like the animation. I think
one thing they got really right, and like people talk about, like with CGI animation, you've got the uncanny valley, but Chakotay's always been dead behind the eyes, so it doesn't matter how badly you animate his eyes. It doesn't rob anything from the performance. Anyway, okay, I'll stop. So then Dal,
do not lie.
Yeah, that's like when I say, "Oh no, that's my last pun. That's my last pun. I promise." We all know it's not true. Come on.
And then Dal distracts the robots by saying, "Look how distracting I am," and
which is a brilliant way to get the attention. Distract them.
And that lets Chakotay get away, but Dal drops the disruptor. Chakotay picks up the disruptor, and that makes all the difference and means they can escape on the ship this time.
Yeah, which shouldn't have.
Which is where we cut back to Gwyn, and we find that Gwyn starts sort of temporal phasing, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that's
a good... grab the thing.
I do think we've seen this before, temporal phasing.
I'm sure we have. Yeah, we must have done at some point.
Sure. I mean, I thought it was really cool that they thought the idea, which I can't remember them using before, of because they're in the other time zone, which has caused the paradox. It does make sense that she'd phase between those two times, because that's where the thing that's linked. It's kind of like, it's sort of like it makes enough sense that you can do it. Like, but
they can still be there, but because they'd been born from wherever they came from.
Yeah,
but she wouldn't have been. Because the diviner won't have gone or any of that.
She's basically getting Marty McFly, didn't she? She's starting to disappear.
Yeah.
But appearing to them, I thought was a really nice touch, a really good kind of.
But the nice thing is that they haven't made her get off with her dad to save it.
Yet. We've not seen the end of the season yet. Though hopefully that's not the way it goes.
Get off with Dal. I'm shipping them.
Yeah, I think everyone is out there at this stage. Because Dal's all, "Oh, she's not my girlfriend." It's like, she totally is. Anyway, Temporal Mechanics 101 then. And I noticed this on second watch. The episode opens with Murph hanging about in stellar cartography. And we don't really see what he's up to. And that'll come back during the last shot of the episode, which we'll talk about. But it's nice that they've got what seems a completely innocuous detail the first time round. We're going to revisit and we're going to pay that off later in the episode. And then we do get the classic technobabble. Like we talked about it a little bit last week, like where we talked about how... when the Borg cube the Borg sphere in First Contact went back in time and the Enterprise got caught in its wake, so that was why they survived the change. And we get something similar here, like, well, the Infinity went through the wormhole and it's got temporal shield, so maybe that's protecting us as well.
I mean, I would say they probably over the series pushed that as far as maybe a little beyond what you might do in a regular. But I think this is a family animation, so it fits. I think
they're pushing it, and they're going to get away with it because of what the show is the audience is aimed at.
And it's such a great show as well. Like, I don't mind a bit of artistic license, especially in an animated show.
That's no, that's wrong. I'll take that back. Not the audience it's made for. This is a show made for kids, but it is also aimed at adults because you can watch it as a family show.
Yeah.
We're just watching it and enjoying the hell out of it. So it is made for everyone, but it's made a bit simpler, so it's more accessible for a younger audience.
Oh, and apparently Willow says it's also made for dogs. So
of course. And lest we're accused of recency bias, we picked up the animated series episode yesteryear for not playing the time travel rules properly either. So
yeah,
this is not as being forgiving of new Trek. We tend to pick up on these things generally.
Like, let's be fair.
We said it was the same reason then as well, because it was an animated show. Can
I just also say though that season 2 of Prodigy is arguably a continuation of Star Trek Voyager. Continuation.
Yeah,
and Star Trek Voyager did not play well with time travel because it was always reset at the end of the episode.
It was.
So Star Trek Voyager isn't the best at time travel.
No, I'd say this is a great 50-50 split between the sequel to Voyager. Well, probably 70-30 towards a new show, 30% sequel. To Voyager, and I think they've threaded that needle really greatly. So, like, anyone who doesn't know Voyager, and surely they'll go back and watch off the back of this, but anyone who doesn't can still follow this perfectly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then they managed to communicate, and I like how Michelle sort of dobs them in a bit here, where they're saying, "Well, we're not sure why," and she says, "Like, due to their reckless actions, we."
Can we also throw out when she earlier on goes to Dalka and he goes, "No, I'm not really part of the. I'm more a captain." She goes, "Well, he thinks he's a captain, but he's not really." She goes, "What? Falcons can't lie," sassing him really perfectly.
And then we start getting these mysterious messages. First of all, to save Gwyn. And so, Dr. Squee, you will have to bite your tongue because you most likely know who these are coming from.
Well, the thing is, we saw this in the second episode. We saw this, like, glowing spaceship appear, didn't we? That told them don't go through the wormhole. And I'm assuming it's coming from there. That's now trying to put things right.
But who is it?
Well, like, my first guess was it was something to do with a magician, because I thought, like, the colour palette and the circular thing looked very much like, what's his name?
Zero.
Like Zero. I thought it was giving them sort of vibes.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure if it is that.
I will say my theories when I was first watching was either that or a future version of them somehow. Like, that was where I was going.
Yeah, Magician. Like, from what I've seen of it, or the first 2 episodes, I'd go with Magician. I'm not sure where I'd go now. Like,
and at any point have we considered Iconians? Because we've always got to consider Iconians when it's a mysterious.
We haven't, and I didn't on this, and I'm really sorry. I feel like I've actually let
the Iconians this time.
I feel like I've let the side down.
As long as one of us thought of the Arconians, it's all right.
Or it could be Worf, because last time we had someone sending mysterious transmissions to a character, it turned out to be Worf in Picard.
Oh yeah, it's kind of funny because I don't think they've compared notes or anything. I think there's probably someone up high who made sure they don't tread too much ground. But the similar kind of threads which have been trod by this and Picard were kind of funny.
I do,
and like with season 1 of Prodigy, had the interconnected ships, which we also got in Lower Decks, and then we got in Picard. So we had that idea.
Yeah, it's time they did away with that idea. I think Picard did away with that at the end, didn't it?
Yeah, I think
idea.
We've tried it 3 times.
Shame on us.
We've nearly been wiped out 3 times. Let's not do this ever anymore.
Do you reckon that's like the janitor at Paramount who just wanders in and out of all the writers' rooms and just goes, "Hey, you know what'd be an idea if they linked all the ships together? That's great. Well done."
Oh, by the way, when I was rewatching that episode of Prodigy, I think I said at the time that Y is the slowest acting weapon. Like it goes to all these ships, but it takes ages to take out any ships. But
yeah,
watching it back, they did say it's like it was hastily put together. It was their one shot. Like for everything that it does, you would understand why it maybe wasn't the most powerful necessarily. Like it could have been basically a bug that didn't make it kind of blow them up just with one shot, or they just wanted them to really destroy each other.
It had him on a low phaser setting instead of the high phaser setting.
Either that, or if you've got more of them before they blow up, damaging each other as well, then maybe so it's either one of those two makes sense.
Maybe he didn't understand phaser settings. Maybe he didn't understand phaser settings, so they've all been set. Yeah, fire phasers and just at whatever setting they already were at instead of moving them all to high setting.
Exactly. So it's one of two, or like it's like with these the best kind of bugs like COVID, for instance, don't kind of get it. They start off really strong and then they actually get weaker because the weaker ones survive longer to spread further. So maybe it was to make sure they got all the ships. So it's probably a bit of A, bit B. Yeah. So there you go.
So they follow these coordinates and they end up in the hole that Gwen was in, doing the full Rowlry or whatever it was called. And I really actually like this idea, and I'm sure we must have done this before, like in Time's Arrow, for example. But having parallel action taking place in the same point in space, but at different points in time. And then that means that we can mount a rescue because we're in the right place. We're just not in the right time to rescue her.
Can I also ask a question? Like, what do you guys think when she like drops to the floor and the kind of like the heirloom material catches her? Because they said this is an ancient right. It happens all the time. Like only one comes out the victor. So basically, that means this thing has whatever entity it is at the heart of this planet has decided to save her. Which is kind of interesting. I wonder if, like,
interesting.
I was thinking, it's like, is it because it sensed that she was so important? Like, maybe it's a force which is out of time itself.
Well, it's maybe sense that actually this has happened, so you've been affected by this time thing, but it maybe knows that she's the one who's right, that you're the one.
Yeah, maybe it knew. Yeah. It knew she didn't lose fairly, so it was like, right. Or maybe it just absconds with everyone who falls down. It's got a massive big civilization below the surface.
Right, I've got to get to the planet. She opens the door. It's like everyone goes, "Hello!" Like, so
I too lost the thing, and
we would have gone up to the planet ourselves, but we were too embarrassed to be frank.
Like Sacha Baron Cohen film The Dictator, where he keeps like going like that to have people killed, and they're like, no, we can't kill everybody who he says to kill, so they just send them off and have them like put a fake mustache on and come back, sort of thing. Maybe it's that going on. Nobody actually dies during this ritual; they just think they do. So we're talking about like how are we going to rescue her, and Dal gets a great line where he's like, "Can someone translate the nerd speak?" Which is a nice sort of nod to the fact that they do throw technobabble in there now and again, and they do at this point reference Worf in parallels. Like they talk about, well, Worf did this thing where he went to all these different universes and blah blah blah. So I like that they're getting another reference. So that's that. We've referenced DS9, we've referenced TNG, obviously we've referenced Voyager. And then you get the Temporal Mechanics 101 video, which I think it reminds me of like Jurassic Park, where it's Mr. DNA and he explains.
That's funny because I thought of the TVA in Marvel.
I got that as well. I think I got both of them from it. But I thought this was a really good way for the audience you're aiming at. Mm-hmm. And even for the older audience, because when you start going in time ones, and we've had it, and you try to explain to each other what they're on about. And I thought that with the dominoes was brilliant. How time moves back like this. But if you move a domino, this one doesn't fall. And we have to do something to make it fall again.
And I just thought, I mean, Jim's kind of like blown what I was thinking kind of out of the water, because I was thinking it's like, if it wasn't for just a couple of years, like you would have beaten, like Marvel beat you to it. But like you say, it's in Jurassic Park. It actually goes right back to there. So nothing new under the sun, as they say.
Yeah.
To Elliot's point there, like there was a story when Steven Spielberg was making Jurassic Park, and they were all scratching their heads, like, this is quite complex stuff. How do we explain it? And Spielberg said, well, why don't we have them all watch a video that explains it? And the other people were like, you can't do that in the middle of a film. And they're like, why not? Else you can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
makes
sense.
It's also when they do the so you think we're building a time travel ship?
Yeah.
It's like, I cannot express this enough. Don't. It'll give you a massive headache. Like, are you sure you want to? Really?
But if you absolutely must.
Yeah, we'll still show you how to do it.
Yeah.
And the time machine, well, the Infinity rejigged as a time machine. It kind of reminded me of the hovercrafts in the Matrix. Yeah, especially with it being down a big hole.
And the bits coming off it. Yeah, I got Matrix vibes off that.
Yeah, I thought visually it really reminded me of them. But this allows them to travel back and find Gwyn. But they now need to get off the planet because they're now, and I think this is a really neat way of getting them back into the timeline of the rest of the show, rather than going, we've got to go through the wormhole. It's like, no, you're literally in the same place, so all you have to do...
Right time now already.
Yeah, so all you have to do is get off planet. You don't have to go back the way you came.
I do like for making it work, and you've got Jankum and he's putting together a time machine. And he's sort of like, and they try moving and it won't work, and they're being attacked. And he just hits it with his spanner to make it work.
Oh, percussive maintenance. Yeah. And his hair, and the way his hair goes at that moment as well. It's like, oh, classic Jenkins back. Like, I love the fact that he kind of brushed it back and everything, but I kind of wanted it to go back to the original work.
I thought there was some nice touches when they do start moving in time, because they're just about to get attacked. And this again, it's all Matrix where you've got the robots outside starting to cut them apart.
Yeah, it is.
And they've gone through one of them gets through the window or the front view, whatever it is. And it's just about to stab Dahl as it starts. And it's a lovely bit of rewinding, glass going back into place.
Yeah, that's really good. And so this is where whoever the mysterious benefactor is.
Right. If you were watching it, because I'm only up to 6, so I've got a new feeling now. But at the point of episode 4, who would you think it is?
I'll tell you. Who I thought it might be and really wanted it to be, but I think is extremely unlikely. In the New Frontier books by Peter David, there's sort of an ongoing story arc where there's a mysterious alien that keeps upgrading ships and upgrading people's DNA, and they keep abducting people and upgrading them. And it went on for about 4 of his novels and also a comic book series. And then it was that long before he wrote the next book that he clearly decided he was bored with idea. So he just sort of went, all right, with this species, but this other species has killed them all. So now these are the new baddies. So I was hoping they were picking up that thread and we're going to... My entire thing with Star Trek is I want New Frontier to be canon. I want to see Mackenzie Calhoun in...
I thought you were going to say Calhoun because I know that name mainly from you.
It's straight away the time traveler from Enterprise that we see right at the beginning talking to Archer, who's directed all the time stuff.
Well, that's jumping to the end of this episode. So we see Murph talking to someone who could well be Future Guy, as they called it.
Now,
no, I was just talking about the fact that they upgrade the ship. The ship gets fixed out of nowhere.
Well, that's sort of like their mysterious benefactors, and
well, exactly, yeah.
It's
which
like
I think is now all the same
Yes, I think so.
person.
So go on. Who did you think it was? So do you?
Now, I was thinking future guy. Who? There's two theories on this.
Mhm.
That one, it's Archie from the future, which was never revealed in Enterprise, but it would have been in season 5.
Mhm.
Or it could be Daniels, which means we're getting what's his name?
David Cronenberg again.
Cronenberg back.
And
well, the OG.
yes, slowly Daniels is becoming the most important character in Star Trek, as predicted by the quiz at Destination Trek
Yeah.
Oh my
last
god!
year.
If the quiz isn't all about Daniels this year, I will be sorely disappointed.
It
No,
was all about Daniels last year, but
I did. Sorry, go on me.
I was just going to say it wasn't all about Daniels; it was disproportionately about Daniels.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
75%.
Anyway.
Well, I wanted to be about the
Daniels.
David Cronenberg version.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Kovic.
Kovic.
But-
I wanted to be a Kovic quiz this year. He's like bringing it up to date with his favorite character. Yeah, I must admit, my thought at this stage was that it was probably the same person who's sending the messages. I thought was in the thing.
Yeah.
So it was like again Medusans or a future version of them was still where I was kind of stuck at this stage.
Well,
but I
got
just love the
future
idea.
guys, so I like either Archie or Cronenberg.
And I like the fact that they had Murph being the one. It kind of reminds me of like in the horror films where they get the child to be the one who's communicated with from the other side.
Yes.
Very much had those kind of vibes where Murph is the eternal child. Yeah, it's really great. But also he did the pew pew.
Any other theories then on who the benefactor might be?
Well,
I mean, obviously we can't say what we know now.
Not at the point of episode 4 is what I'm basing this on.
Right. Well, if we're pretending that we're covering these in real time, I'm really excited because next week we're going to see the aliens out of New Frontier, and we might get a cameo from Captain Calhoun.
Or the
which I've
Medusans. Seeing the
All
race
the
with heroes from,
Medusans.
which, by the way, I meant to bring up, just as a random kind of thing. He doesn't in this episode. He doesn't quite a lot. In the first series, did Zero do the like? Because I love it, but he goes like yippee and woohoo. He's got these kind of little woohoo
I
tips.
seem
Which
to remember a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think
I
he
didn't
did
even notice them on the
occasionally.
rewatch, but I'm noticing it.
Maybe
particularly
not.
in this series.
But then they did get the suit upgraded at the end, so maybe you couldn't do all the jumping about being.
It's really nice. I think it's a
'cause
really nice little character thing because he's
for most of
like
the
I said last
season,
week.
first season, he was in like his jump put together uniform, wasn't he?
Yeah, I just where he's kind of like I said last week, he's kind of like the grown up in the room a lot of the time. He talks a bit more sensibly and a bit more measured and everything. So when he kind of gets joyful and just goes yippee, it's just really nice. It's just I like that kind of contradiction of it, that it shows he's just as excited as the rest of them. He's just a bit more logical sometimes. So him sparring off the Vulcan as well. It's love the kind of little flirting between them. I am loving.
Seems to be a bit of romance brew, or certainly bonding going on, whether it's romantic or not.
She says, "Oh, I think you're the most logical amongst them." And he's like, "Oh, you logical also? Yes."
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
yeah.
Just on the subject of Zero getting a new costume, they've all got the new uniforms. Murph's evolved. Now, a savvy marketing company could have released one load of action figures where they looked like they do in season 1, and then got us to buy them all again by making them look like they do in season 2. And we've got a new ship, the Infinity and the Voyager, that we could buy big models of to play with. Yeah, it's almost like this show was a gold mine for merchandising.
The kids that they never
kids
tapped in on.
Exactly.
Probably they didn't sell merchandising rights with the show, I'm guessing, to Netflix. I'm guessing they sold the show.
No, but they didn't even do it in season 1. When you're doing the kids show, you should also be thinking about Merc. He-Man, Merc, Turtles, Merc. And all these shows were all about the Merc.
And there needs to be no delay. You need to if the kids see the cartoon on Saturday morning, they need to be able to buy it from a shop Saturday afternoon.
Oh yeah. I mean, all I meant was I'm just wondering if now they have sort of sold to Netflix, even if it gets a third series. I'm just wondering if like how to put it, how motivated Star Trek will be to release the merchandise if they didn't sell
no, possibly not.
I hope they are. I hope they still want to make money off the back.
The thing is, like Lucas, we go back to Star Wars again, but George Lucas proved that the money is in the Merc, not in the actual show.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's the whole thing with having a kids show. You don't need to be having billions of viewers. You don't need huge adverts coming on because it's for kids. Because the kids have got the parents going out and spending hundreds on all the toys they want to go with the show that they're watching. And that's what shows do to make money. And that's why certain kids shows carry on for years and years and years and years and years because the merchandise is there.
Exactly. It's like, we need to introduce at least one new character per episode so that we can get action figures of them all out.
Oh, even the Vulcan character, like as much as it's also kind of Majel is also forwarding the story very well and fits very nicely. It kind of feels like hey, this is your new action figure right here.
You look at Pokemon,
absolutely, and
Pokemon came with games and Merc and all sorts. And Yu-Gi-Oh! It came with a game, but they're there for Merc.
And to be fair, Pokemon weren't messing about. They're like, how many have them? Over 100. That's just the first game. Don't worry, there'll be 100 more next year.
And what's the catchphrase? You've got to collect them all.
Exactly. They had it sussed out. But in the defense of the merchandising team, Playmates Toys did release one series of Prodigy figures. It was all of the main cast except for Rock because they didn't want to spend money on making a bigger mold. And they didn't release them anywhere except the USA that I'm aware of because you definitely couldn't get them in England. And now either those merchandising rights have lapsed or Playmates have chosen not to renew it. So there is currently not a manufacturing company that makes Star Trek action figures, which is just poor.
Mental.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just money as far as I'm concerned. I also just want to quickly address something really cool. I have seen the fan reaction to season 2 seems even bigger than I noticed for season 1, which is really hopeful. Kind of, it just everyone seems to want more of this. It's just a great first indicator. We don't know what the figures are like, but if I'm seeing more comments and the three of us are on every Star Trek group and everything, and I don't have to avoid anything because I've seen them all. It's promising is all I'm saying. And even people are saying, it's like, I've seen several comments going, it's like, oh, I dismissed it after watching the first couple. I thought it was a kid's show.
Yeah.
Whereas I've gone back and watched it now and I love it. And even people haven't watched it.
Where it does in the charts on Netflix, isn't it? That's going to be the big determining factor.
Yeah.
It's very weird metrics that Netflix have, and there is.
Well, metrics shows that popular when they have 90 million viewers.
But this is the thing because there's a thing about how likely a show is to draw in new subscribers. And it peaks at around season 2. Even if a show's popular, season 3 doesn't tend to get as many new subscribers. It might get existing subscribers watching it. And so from that metric, unfortunately, I think Netflix are probably going to be happy with 2 seasons of it for people to watch. But if it is a mega hit, and I think the creators have said this, then there is a chance. But we shall see.
I will say the kind of thing in the plus column is that after they had already released the first season after buying both, they did a great it was front and center when they released season 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Some shows don't get that treatment if the first hasn't gone down that well. Like I've noticed some things have just appeared on Netflix, but I haven't noticed in the big banner at the top. It was in the big banner for like a good week there. So I think that's it's all promising signs. We don't know.
It is, but
it's good
we
to
shall see.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll wrap up there then for this week, but we will be back next week to talk about the next 2 episodes of Prodigy. In the meantime,
I can't remember the names.
I can't either. In the meantime, you can get in touch with us. We're at RetrekPod on X. We're retrekpod@gmail.com. We're on Retrek Model Studios on YouTube.
I am working on getting a video together, but as we said at the start of the show, it had so much on over last week. It
has been a crazy week.
It's been a massively crazy week.
Dr. Squee, what have we got with the Dr. Squee show?
Well, equally, without even purchasing a house, it's been a busy last week where I was working the lakes and everything. Friday was meant to be my day to get some stuff done. I just felt sick after being awake for way too many hours. So it's still the Sarah Pinborough interview is going to go out this week, and I'm going to get the interview I did with Ian Cheston, William Russell from Doctor, the original companion who passed away about a month ago now. Those are coming up this next week. So tune in.
For anyone who's not aware, we are going to be bringing our show When Trek Goes Wrong at the Movies to Destination Trek in Blackpool in a couple of weeks' time.
Which is great. Anyone who hasn't seen it, we've only done it once, but if you've seen it, you'll know how fun it is. If you've not seen it, come watch it if you're Destination Trek. We are doing this from a position where we love Trek, as you can probably tell what we do every week. But this is all great fun. And you maybe won't be watching what you think you're watching at the start.
I'll even say if you saw it last time as well, we're it's always slightly different. It's always kind of good fun. It's just like
there's
no script or anything. So you will find a different experience, I'm sure.
And in the meantime, then, let's hope the week until we're back. Go fast!
Go fast!
And thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Plug on LLAP.